Good morning and welcome to Pike Creek Farm. My name is Renee, and if this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by. I do a lot of canning videos and baking and cooking, and I have some vintage recipes, so if that sort of stuff interests you, come on along. But today I am so excited. I am part of this amazing collaboration called Cracktober, and it's put on by Jenny Goff at Jenny's Scratch Made Kitchen. If you haven't been to her channel, go to it now. She is my go-to person for canning recipes and for ways to use what I can, and she just has some amazing recipes, and I truly love watching all her videos, and her recipes and her food always look amazing. So thank you, Jenny, for putting on Cracktober and inviting me to participate. I really appreciate it. And today what I'm going to make is a vintage type recipe. It is actually one, let me straighten that. It's actually one that my mom received from her sister-in-law, my Aunt Dorothy, back late 80s, I believe it was, maybe early 90s. And it is salsa roast. And you use a jar of salsa. Today I'm going to use this instead of using homemade. I'm down to like 3 jars, and it's on my list to can the next couple of weeks. So come on along. For Cracktober, we are making salsa beef roast. I already worked on prepping all my vegetables, and on the bottom of the crock I am going to put potatoes and then carrots. And I'm going to season them a little bit, and then the meat goes on top, and then peppers and onions go on the top of the meat along with the salsa that you mix with some flour. And you just put it on low and let it go nice and slow. If you want to put it on a little later in the day, put it on high. So I am going to add the potatoes. I'm going to chunk them up. Sometimes I do not put potatoes actually in this recipe because we like the sauce so much and it tastes great on mashed potatoes. So today, an all-in-one meal sounded good. So I'm going to do a layer of potatoes in chunks. And then the carrots. I like this roast because it has a little different flavor profile than what I normally do. You know, in the crock pot, I've done it with like onion soup mix and broth, or with mushroom soup, or just whatever I wanted to add that way, more traditional flavors. And this I liked because it's different. Now we're going to put the carrots on top, chunk them up. Okay, so we have carrots and potatoes in a layer. I'm going to add some kosher salt, just a sprinkle. Add some pepper. And some garlic powder. I usually add garlic to almost everything. We like garlic a lot. So next, I have a beef roast here I need to unwrap that we got from, I had part of a cow. So I'm going to unwrap this and I will lay that on top. So I use usually like a chuck roast or an English roast for this recipe. There, the meat is in there. I'm going to wash my hands. Now I'm going to season the meat. I put some pepper on, sprinkle of salt, and the garlic again. I'm not adding a lot else because the spices from the salsa. So now we sprinkle sliced onions on top. And if your family doesn't like onions, you can leave them out. And then the pepper will go on in strips. And if you want to put some jalapeno or some different kind of spicier peppers, you can do that. Okay, So there's all the peppers. You know, and they will cook down. Now, the next thing is the salsa. And I'm going to take out a couple spoons of it. If you had a partially used jar of salsa, that would work fine. So, what I usually, it calls for 2 spoons of flour, and I try to just mix it up in this jar rather than getting another bowl. I made a pretty good mess of that. I should have got a bowl out. So there, I added the flour to it. And now we shake this up. Turns it kind of a milky white, opaque. Then you just pour that on top. Cover all the vegetables. So there it all is. Let's get all the vegetables in there. Cover it up. Since I used a mild salsa, I'm going to add a little more seasoning on top. This way I can control it. So a little bit of cumin, a little bit of red flakes, just not much came out. I can count them and it's less than 10. So, and then a sprinkle of chili powder. Some more garlic. So now I'm just going to put the lid on this, put it in the crockpot container, and turn it on low. We're going to make a dessert, peach cobbler, and I'll bring you back to make that also. So then dinner tonight is going to be this salsa roast with some peach cobbler. Now I'm going to put together in a crockpot a dessert. It's a couple hours until we'll eat. So I'm going to make a peach cobbler. I'm going to use my home canned peaches. The recipe calls for 30 ounces, so I have 2 pints I'm going to use. And it calls for it in heavy or light syrup. These are in a light syrup. Calls for a cup of milk. Calls for a cup of sugar and a cup of flour, which I've already put the cup of sugar and flour in this bowl. We're going to add a cup of milk and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Make sure that it's fresh, that it's still within the date. One teaspoon of cinnamon. I have also melted a half a cup, 1 stick of butter in the microwave. So I just need to get these ingredients mixed up. Okay, so that is now mixed up. I am going to get the crock pot and pull it over here and put it all together now. One stick of margarine and 1 stick of butter melted and put in the bottom of the crock pot. Now we take the batter and pour on top. Now we open up the peaches and put them on top. Peaches are on top with the juice. I am going to put the lid on and put this on high and let it cook for 2 hours or until the batter is done. I'll bring you back and show you what it looks like. I put a paper towel under the lid to absorb any condensation so that it doesn't drop back into the cake and make the top of the cake wetter than it should be. And here is how it looks. Batter is done. And here is dinner tonight. Potatoes, carrots, crescent rolls, some meat, and the peppers and onions and some of the sauce. It has a tang to it. Even though it's mild, it is spicy. It's always amazed me. It must just condense down. So I can't imagine what it would be like if you tried hot salsa. I think we have done medium before, and we've always gone back to the mild. Time for dessert. Some vanilla ice cream with the cobbler. Easily. In 2 hours, it was done. And I did put the paper towel, and that did help. So, time for dessert. Crockpot dinner and dessert is done. Thank you so much, Jenny, for inviting me to participate in this collaboration. I am so looking forward to seeing all the other recipes. There's some great channels that are participating. I'll have the link to Jenny's channel and also to the playlist down below. And thank you so much for stopping by Pike Creek Farm. My name is Renee, and I look forward to having you here again. If you like this video, if you could push the like button, I really appreciate it. And if you want to see more videos on canning and cooking and baking and vintage recipes, subscribe to my channel. So thank you very much for coming along with me today. See you next time at Pike Creek Farm.